Oh, yeah. Welcome to CRT, episode 11. I'm your host, Trash Can Jones. With me, as always.
And I'm Brig.
I forgot you'd like to set it up like that. It works, though. It works.
I didn't. I knew what I was doing.
You had the idea. So unbeatable eatable sandwiches. What's your final verdict on it?
It was a good sandwich.
It was a damn good sandwich. It was a damn good sandwich.
I ate half a sandwich. I'm going to eat half a sandwich later because I like it so much.
I was going to say, they give you a big, fat sandwich. They do not skimp on anything.
Yeah, so if you're in the Oak Lawn area.
Oak Forest, I think.
Oak Forest,
Yeah.
all these fucking tree places.
Crestwood.
Go to Unbeatable Eatables.
Is that good
This
shit?
is not sponsored.
No, they're just really good, and you should eat them.
So I starting to catch a bug. The Civilization 6 bug.
Ah, you're playing Civ 6?
I'm back on it.
Oy. Don't those games go for like weeks at a time, potentially?
No, like a couple days,
Oh.
like 2 or 3 sessions. But
Speaking of that, have you ever heard of the board game? I think it's called like The War in Africa or something like that.
nope.
Oh, I gotta look this up because it was making me just absolutely howl. The Campaign for North Africa is the board game. And it is considered one of the most complex strategic war games ever published, with such things as the Italians needing more water so they can boil their rationed pasta, investing in gas caps decreases the amount of fuel evaporated during high temperature times. Different things, like it's just,
And this is all on board. This isn't even a computer.
it's a board game, yeah. The creators of the game know that it's unbalanced. They say we don't really care if it's balanced. It takes 7 years to play a game. If you come to me and say it's unbalanced, I'll say you're playing it wrong. Just play it again. That's their official response. Just play it again if you think it's unbalanced.
Yeah.
If you get through a full game and you really think it's unbalanced, you think you might have missed something. Just try it again one more time.
Yeah, just look through the rules again. You can come back to me after you played it another time.
It's just that made me laugh so much. Like, Italian troops need more water to boil their rationed pasta.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's true. You know,
yeah.
Is it?
I would assume they need, like, the British might also need potentially more water than an American.
For tea.
For tea, right. So the Americans would need, like, the less water. British might need a little more. But then if the Italians are eating pasta with their meals, then perhaps then they're going to... I don't know why Italian soldiers would be trying to eat pasta out in the field, though. It doesn't seem like the best MRE type meal.
I mean, so there are MRE pastas, like
they're usually,
modern
like,
ones, but they're
pre-cooked,
pre-cooked, yeah. And you just use a little heat pack to heat them up. I used to watch some YouTube videos of, like, guys eating just ancient MREs.
Yeah, Steve,
There's, like-
1989 MRE info.
Yeah.
One of my classics. Love that
Like,
guy.
oh yeah, this was from World War II. There's a couple things in here that are bad now because they aren't supposed to last that long. But it's like canned whatever. Like, this actually happens to be healthy. Like, this is still fine.
Yeah, he'll open like a tin of bread and it'll come out like rocks. He'll just be like, yeah, I don't think that's edible. Well, let me just, and then just takes a crumb and like eats like, yeah, it's definitely stale. My tongue's going numb. Not gonna swallow. It's just like,
That's not what stale
he's
means.
have rancid, whatever the hell. Like, he's just, because if it's like, if there's berries or nuts and things, like that's guaranteed, like it's gonna go rancid. But he'll still just like, yeah, let's see. Pretty much like every time, like he'll just eat this 60-year-old bread.
I've also tried a couple of MREs. I think one of them was tacos.
I think I tried a pizza MRE once when I was a really young kid, because like somebody brought it in for show and tell once. Like, oh, my dad was in the military and this is what he ate type deal. And they brought like the pizza one and then whatever, some other one.
It's just Lunchables.
Yeah, it's just like adult Lunchables, basically. You get to heat it up. It's like gross cafeteria food.
Yeah. I was also told that apparently they're meant to, like, give you constipation. So you have to go to the bathroom less often.
Yeah, they're just like really calorie dense, I think. So just naturally, I think it just makes you, what you call it, more constipated, just because of how dense all the food is.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually really just like full of probably preservatives, obviously, but then probably also a lot of other unhealthy things to make sure you can eat it by the time you need to.
Mm-hmm. You think they include like, because if it is like a Lunchable, like they could probably include like a couple Oreos or like a Crunch bar that's an inch long.
I'm gonna say, you ever seen the MREs? They usually have like the little bits of I forget, like the accessory packs that'll come with either like a thing of candies, like back in the day was Lifesavers, like the little hard candies, or sometimes little like Hershey brand chocolates, just be little M&M packets, something like that.
Yeah,
they give them candy, little bits of sugar. It's important.
Did they
to the
inspire the Lunchable?
That is a good question. I don't know. We should do research into the Lunchable. I don't know how that was created. We'll research it before the next episode.
Yeah, we'll come back with an update.
Yeah, Lunchable is literally just like, how do we make MREs but for kids?
I can't believe I would like get a Lunchable and then eat like cold chicken nuggets with ketchup.
The chicken nugget Lunchable was the worst one. I can't believe you did that either. I refuse to let my mom buy it.
Now the cold pizza one,
fire.
It's pretty
absolute fire.
Yeah.
Cold pizza. Nachos also really not my favorite. I never really liked the cheese because I always like my nacho cheese hot. So I always just eat the salsa and a bunch of chips.
Yeah.
Crackers,
it's straightforward though. You
right.
know.
Yeah. Crackers, ham, and cheese will always be top tier though. Or turkey and cheese, either one.
Yeah, with those I'd always like to try and make like super sandwiches, super stacks.
Of course. What else are you supposed to do? You're given the tools, you might as well build.
Do we ever talk about Oreos? I mean, I mentioned them just a minute ago.
But... like the whole Hydrox thing? No, I don't think so.
No, that thing too. But
no, then in general, I don't think Oreos at all.
What kind of Oreo is your favorite?
Honestly, the regular Oreo. Double stuff is a little bit too much for me.
You know they have less stuff Oreos?
Aren't those just like the Oreo thins, right? Like the whatever tiny calorie ones? Yeah.
Yeah, they got those in mint.
That makes sense. Mint's one of their like most popular.
I like that more. I used to be a double stuff fan. They even came out with like the mega stuff ones. Those were like half an inch tall. Of,
yeah,
like
just
stuffing.
nothing but terrible. I got a bone to pick with mint flavoring though. Go away.
Disagree.
Mint? What are you doing it for? Mint is for like it tastes like toothpaste. It's for freshening your breath. Why are you
Toothpaste
trying
tastes
to...
like mint.
Why exactly? That's what I want to like clean my breath and to clean my teeth. I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat toothpaste. Why are you trying to eat toothpaste ice cream? You weirdo.
I mean, they have bubblegum flavored toothpaste for kids. Like,
yeah, I remember getting that.
Bubblegum.
No, but that was just like bubblegum flavoring. It's just like why?
So was the mint.
Yeah, but mint is like freshening and what? It's not like something to eat. Like I don't want mint in the back of my throat. It just doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm swallowing toothpaste.
Back on campus, there was that farm on the quad, and they actually had some mint that ended up growing out, like near the sidewalk, just outside the fence.
Neat.
And I would walk by and I'd grab some mint leaves and I'd eat those. Refreshing.
See, and yeah, it's refreshing, freshes your breath. Fine, if you want to use a little bit of mint for that. Get it out of ice cream. That's wrong. It's just you don't do that.
It's good. It's
get it out of chocolate.
Ice cream is already supposed to be a refreshing thing, right? It's the cold thing you have on a summer day.
Right.
So you add mint, the menthol. I think it's menthol.
Yeah, you're like the menthol cigarette version of ice cream. I don't care. It's terrible.
I saw an old Photoshop of a Ben & Jerry's Marlboro flavored with like fiberglass.
Marlboro red flavored ice cream.
Yeah, including the flavor of the filter. Fiberglass and tobacco, baby.
Shout out to Micronite filters.
I don't know what those are.
Oh, I think it was the Kent Cigarette Company back in like 1930s or whatever, around that time. They invented a new cigarette filter for the pregnant woman, so they can have a nice, clean burning cigarette. And you know what they put in those filters, Brendan, to make it so clean and ever so non-burning?
Baby killing poison?
Asbestos. Correct.
Yeah.
They put asbestos in the filters. It's definitely Google that if you're listening to this, because it's a hilarious thing to read about. You could see the ads of like, look, our new Micronite filters give it a nice, clean, fresh taste. It's like literally kill yourself twice as fast. And your baby too, I guess, because they were advertising it for like pregnant women.
What is? I don't even. How did like asbestos get as far as it did without? I mean, because it's like majorly cancer causing, right? It's a flame retardant.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing. Because I remember reading a story about a story. So the validity of it is to be whatever questioned. But there was just this old timey like king who had a very like, cape that was flame retardant. Like no matter what type of flames that were put upon it, it was no matter what put out. And he would like to just throw it onto the stone in front of him, set it on fire, and watch it. And people just kind of figured like, oh yeah, that was probably an asbestos cape, which is why he died like at 30 from like super cancer, because it all just so coincided that he had cancer and died. And they're like, well, that's probably what it was. Like they didn't know what asbestos was back then, but looking back with some modern lenses.
Yeah, I guess I still don't even know what it is now. All I know is that it's really hard to get rid of.
I'm pretty sure it's just something with like sort of like how fiberglass, or not, is it fiberglass? The stuff that's like other insulation.
The devil's cotton candy.
Yeah. The devil, it'll like make you real itchy because it just like cuts your skin very tiny. It's sort of like that same deal, except like the fibers are like super smaller and also chemically treated. I think that's the two big things. I would have to look that up to be sure, but I think so. It's like one of the things, like when it burns, it has like also a very high heat tolerance, so like the particles just go into the air as opposed to actually breaking down. So it just makes it more like, yeah, it retards flame because it doesn't eat it up like fast enough. The flame will just go out, but then the chemically treated very small particles are now in your lungs and giving you cancer.
Ah, great.
Right. It's trade-offs, you know. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some when you're building houses. Again, all of that information on asbestos is like third-party known.
I am not a professional.
Yeah, I'm not a professional asbestos. I've just read stories about people who have worked with asbestos and things like that over the years tertiarily.
I can't wait for some pro-asbestos head in our comments.
Dude, bring it on.
Angry at us.
Bring it on, asbestos heads. I'll take you down. Steve from Blue's Clues was that real OG. You ever watch Blue's Clues as a kid?
I did, yeah. I remember when he left.
Yeah, he left for college. Sad. There was so many kids programming. Like I watched Dora the Explorer, Little Bear, different things like that. And I think even like I don't know if Lazy Town ever did, but whenever they would like talk to the camera, it would always like, even as a kid, I would kind of understand like, oh, they're talking to me like as a kid, like they're dumbing things down a little bit. Like it's like I can see when they're normal talking to people, and then when they talk to me, like these are two different things. Like they face the camera like, can you tell me what this is? And it's like, okay, so this is the kid voice, and you know, and it's so when I watched Blue's Clues, and it was just so refreshing to have Steve look at the camera and be like, hey, can you think you can help me out with this? I'm really in a bind here. And it was just like, yeah, I can, man. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for actually talking to me like a person. I definitely can.
Yeah,
I was always willing to
putting some respect.
Write some respect on my name. Steve was that dude. I was always willing to jump and sing with him and do whatever just because he was willing to treat me like he was him. I felt the respect.
He ended up doing a stand-up bit like after the show about how like he met someone that he like wanted to hook up with, and then she was like, oh, you like, could you like come to my like nephew's like birthday party because you're Steve? And so he did that as Steve to try and get laid, I guess. I don't know if it worked out for him.
Hell yeah, so he's using Steve to get laid these days? Good man.
Yeah. Well, after, you know, it's interesting how like celebrities' lives are after they're sort of like out of the light.
Yeah.
Like Dylan and Nicole Sprouse, I don't know if I was talking with you about this, but like
I think so.
Like how Cole Sprouse was like actually working as a like waiter at a restaurant in New York while in college because he didn't have a lot of the money.
I was gonna say, was it actually, or was it one of those things where he was just like doing that for like a day?
No, I know that pisses me off so much.
Because I know some celebrities do that for like I don't know if it's like a TikTok thing or whatever, or they just do it for their own.
The most significant one of those I remember is The Rock did working in the day of the life as an Amazon warehouse worker. And he got a lot of shit for that. It was sponsored by Amazon.
Oh, so it was obviously just him doing nothing for like an entire day?
Well, I mean, he probably worked hard, but like they also probably let him take bathroom breaks.
Right. Gave him the most easy experience of all.
Yeah. Even though like Amazon warehouses are constantly being accused of like not treating their workers correctly, having them like piss in bottles because they can't, like, don't have the time to actually go to the bathroom.
Yeah, it's not great from what I hear and what I see.
Well, I've known quite a couple people to work at Amazon.
Oh, yeah?
Not during the height of that, but like, you know, definitely like being way too busy to like do pretty much anything else. because there was an Amazon pretty close to, like up on like the border of Wisconsin. There was an Amazon warehouse right over the border, so people would go over there and work. I also have a friend who got hired there, skipped out on the day of orientation, and then just didn't show up, and then she got a check in the mail for her vacation days that she got for her signing.
I remember you telling me about that. Yeah, she technically earned the vacation pay or vacation days when she got hired, so they just paid her out those.
Yeah, crazy.
Smart, big brain, 1,000
Perfect.
IQ.
You're talking about, get rich quick schemes that we've had. Maybe that's the one. We just steal a bunch of identities, get hired at Amazon.
All right.
Don't show up. They don't check.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then they pay us vacation.
Bada bing. Yeah, we just got to find some identities to steal, and we are golden.
If you have any spare identities, please send them to us.
Now, here's the thing. We just create fake identities, and then we don't have to get any identities. We make them all ourselves. Right? I can think of a few names. We can get, like, some Steve McDykel.
Well, we need the social security card.
We
just increment the number up by one.
I was going to say, well, we'll put a social security number down. Are they going to run it, or are they just going to check that it's a number? Like how diligent are they at Amazon?
They don't even check if you show up.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So maybe it's just like, oh, well, it looks like a social security number. So sure, yeah, we'll run it when we get time. But we got we got packages to move and whatnot. So we're just going to put it to the back burner. And by the time they figure out, like, hey, this social security number's fake. Wait a minute. Hundreds of these social security numbers are fake. Oh, and then we got, $10,000 or whatever from their vacation pay.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Then we can franchise an Unbeatable Eatables. Then we're this close.
We'll turn that into an Amazon competitor. I don't know how, but we'll work on it.
Sandwiches and packages.
Yeah.
Every package you get delivered, you get a little sandwich with it.
I've been noticing a service on Uber and like Uber Eats now for package delivery. Where they'll come and then they'll bring it to like a UPS or a USPS.
I guess that makes sense.
Stuff
if you
like that.
Have something to pick up at a UPS, like, hey, stop there too.
Yeah. I was working in home staging. We actually ordered an Uber for like a piece of furniture before, or like a couple pillows. So the Uber came in to like the warehouse, and like they put some stuff in there, and then they sent it to the location where we were staging the home. It's like, well,
gave these pillows a ride.
Yeah, I guess it's worth the money.
For the Uber driver, yeah.
Yeah, the whole ass ride for a couple pillows. If you're dealing with if you're staging a house, you got enough money going into that.
Right.
This is like millions of dollars house, and it's being staged is like a pretty significant amount of money in the first place for things like that.
Yeah.
You're just moving some furniture around, really, and making good decisions on what furniture you're moving. So, yeah.
When were you doing staging?
Home staging was after being a florist.
Oh, I was going to say.
So we worked in the wedding business. We got started in the wedding business at the same time, doing the wedding staging, tear down, build up, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, technically it was a florist, but they also did candles and also everything else.
Yeah. Well, I never did a day in the actual doing the floral work. We just were setting up.
Right,
the
we were doing the setup and tear down. Yeah.
And then I used that to get a job as an actual florist. So just the other part of a similar operation, and then from there I helped a coworker, a fellow contractor, with his private business of setting up decorations for people's homes.
Sure.
And then the person whose home we set up was like, hey, we need another hand around the office. Do you got time? Or not office, around the warehouse. And I was like, yeah, sure. Did home staging. Was not a great gig.
Not now?
No, I was really, really tightly, it was busy. And my schedule was on a Google Doc that could be changed at a moment's notice. I drove to the location. When I got there, the Google document had a different address.
Wait, that's some shit.
And then I got yelled at, and I was like, no.
Yeah, you don't get to fucking. I can see these edits. There's a history of them.
And then they tried to lower how much they were paying me right around the time that COVID started, and I just said no.
Goodbye.
And I just left. Easy peasy.
Good on you.
But yeah. home staging, moving trucks, wedding setup, floral stuff. I do miss working that genre of job.
Yeah.
Like actually laboring a little bit. A little bit. I don't need to do it all the time, but like...
Wedding staging was super cool, too, because we just got to go to some of the wackiest places. Like the Lowe's rooftop garden, 35th floor, the Ritz-Carlton, the literal Ritz. Yeah. The bathrooms there were wild.
I mean, that was your first day, and you broke a
big-ass vase full of sand and seashells, because they had this whole beach theme in the weddings. They were like, oh, yeah, we're just going to fill this 5-foot-tall glass vase full of sand, and then we're going to line them in the room. But they were only going to use them for the ceremony, and then they were going to move them. So they had, like, them hidden for the time being, and, yeah, I leaned over a little too far, and I knocked it through a curtain. Because I didn't know it was fucking there. Like, why are you hiding a 5-foot-tall thing of sand behind a curtain where nobody can see it? Whatever.
You just don't understand decor, man.
Yeah,
you don't need to see it. You just got to feel its presence.
He told me I did a really good job after that, too. He was still, like, really proud of me that day. I was like,
yeah, you were probably working hard. You just fucked up on, like, one particular thing that you didn't know about because it was practically invisible.
Stupid. That place was wild, though. I remember that ballroom had... I don't even know if you can call it a chandelier, because they just had crystals, like, individually hung by chains, all in the ceiling, wall to wall, in the form of a chandelier, to where, like, they came down towards the middle, but there was no, like, one big structure holding it all together. It was just all individual crystals.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It was super pretty. Looking up into that was just wild. You can get lost. And then it's fucking ceiling to the floor windows, too, so you can just look out into the Chicago skyline. God. Nuts.
Is very pretty. I also have an appreciation for, like, weddings as an event now. Because, like, the whole cocktail hour, like, after the ceremony and before the dinner, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I had no idea that was actually, like, a functional thing for setting up the other space before. Because, like, I was, 19, 20 when I started working there. And I hadn't been to a lot of weddings as, like, an adult at that point. I had, like, weddings when I was a kid. The cocktail hour is like they get you out of the room, go somewhere else, and you start doing shit, and then they take down the like aisle and everything, and then they put up tables and stuff.
To be fair, I don't think that's a super common thing for most weddings, because I think a lot of weddings just have the ceremony and reception at two different places.
I've seen that too. I've seen that at weddings that I've went to.
90% of weddings, they just have it like just in two different places, either very close to each other or just like, all right, ceremony's done, everybody drive to the reception, because the ceremony was at a church usually.
I feel like when you start spending like crazy money, like multiple thousands of dollars on flowers, like the place that you're getting, like, it's gotta be an all-in-one thing,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. At the same time, though, if you're paying that much money, why not pay for double space? I'm pretty sure even at the Ritz, didn't they have the 2 floors? Didn't they have like the floor where the food was, and then upstairs was like the dancing in the ballroom? Or is that a different place? Might have been Standard Club.
I don't exactly remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of pretty places, and it's really cool how all this stuff comes together.
Yeah.
Like how, especially because there's sort of people like this sort of like sort of industrial like look to a lot of things in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like using
exposed piping and things like that.
Yep. The exposed metal with like welds on it, like being part of the centerpiece of your table.
Right.
Is like appreciated. It's chosen
for
how it looks.
Using light fixtures like the ceiling and the pipes in the ceiling rather to be light fixtures, like hang lights off of them as opposed to installing lights on a finished ceiling. Shit like that.
And it's really cool. Like it does seem like very easy to put a lot of these sort of like things together, but that's where it comes down to like you're paying a professional for their taste in these things,
Yeah.
like their know-how into like choosing which ones are supposed to be right, and like having the stock of it, and having the vision of how everything's going to come together.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's cool, especially in Chicago, just to see all the different mishmash of architectures, like the architecture styles and everything. Like I remember, there's actually a podcast I listened to where they're not based in Chicago, but they said they love the architecture boat tour. They've like been on it so many different times. It's just wild to see like all the different styles of it that have like sort of through the eras, but also like are representative of like I don't know, this the same time, but also the time throughout the eras. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been on the boat tour myself, but the other podcaster put it much more eloquently than I could.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to go on one of those tours. I still haven't. But the one thing I have some idea about is all like the red brick buildings, and then we also got a bunch of gray brick buildings. And I just think we had a lot of brick.
Yeah, especially after the big fire, they were probably like, "Fuck wood, no more of that."
I think it was like that there was an excess of brick for some reason. It's just like, well, let's just make a bunch of shit out of bricks.
Might
we
as
got
well.
bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who needs
and
a brick
also not
foundation?
building things out of wood makes a lot of sense post fire.
Yeah, you have a lot of wood around, so it, like, made sense at the time. Like, yeah, we got an abundance, just make everything out of wood. Who cares? And
Wooden
then-
roads.
wooden sidewalks, wooden everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy to pick the city up and move it when it was made of wood, but yeah.
Yeah, which they also did, which is pretty
Right.
cool.
That's a wild piece of history. Literally, they're just like, all right, we're going to roll it over here because we're literally sinking into the ground. And then
Yep.
it only fixed the problem halfway, but still. It mitigated it.
The Chicago fire is such a funny. I mean, it's not funny like what happened to the people, but like funny how it's sort of stuck around in our history. Because like in Chicago, they have very strict rules about where you can put a fire and where you can't.
Yep.
And we have a soccer team called the Chicago Fire, and a TV show called the Chicago Fire. But that's about firefighters.
I would say it's not called the Chicago Fire.
Yeah,
it's
just
called
Chicago Fire.
Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
Because they also have Chicago Med and Chicago PD and all that. Whatever.
Yeah, but it's just like it's a soccer team. You know, like we're cool about it.
Yeah, whatever,
Like,
man.
It's history.
Yeah.
Us and fire, we get along now.
Well, it's not like a fire because, like, it's sort of like, Godzilla with Japan. Like, yeah, he tore the place up, but it's not like he's actually going to be able to do that. So it's a cool guy.
Yeah, and
Japan likes
sometimes
Godzilla.
he's the good guy. You know,
Right.
sometimes he comes up and he's like, all right, I got to fight this other monster.
Right.
He's like pissing everybody else off.
And he's got to show him who's the king. That's
Yeah.
the good shit.
Got to fight King Ghidorah. Got to fight.
King Kong.
Yeah, well, actually,
You fuck King Kong.
yeah, but King Kong is more of like a Western thing, I thought, right? So it's
Yeah,
it's
but I'm
like
just saying
it's actually like more modern than like either of the intellectual properties on their own. It's kind of like Alien versus Predator, which those are two separate intellectual properties,
Right,
and
Alien and
they made a
Predator.
crossover series of movies.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how they got it with the King Kong and the Godzilla, as opposed to like King Ghidorah, Mothra, all that stuff are like in the Godzilla.
Right. I was just
Franchise.
naming other kings that he fought.
True.
That's just the line of logic I was following.
Mechagodzilla.
Mechagodzilla was supposed to be one of the good guys, I think is how the movie went, because they made him to beat Godzilla, but then Mechagodzilla turned evil because I think they put computers in him or whatever. It was like the 2000s, so there was that time where they can just say, this is how computer technology worked. They hacked in and it changed, and then that's that. They just kind of wave their arms.
I got a friend who's an expert on this stuff. I should ask him more about it.
Expert on Godzilla or computers?
Godzilla.
Oh, okay, yeah. I also have some family members that are experts in Godzilla. Could probably give me the rundown.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it was the thing that Mechagodzilla turned evil, and then Godzilla had to be the good guy. Like, whoa, turns out that Godzilla's the one saving, but it's not really that he's saving. It's more I'm the man type. Like, this is my place to destroy. Get out of here.
It's crazy. I like how that whole kaiju like genre sort of evolved, especially considering like the original Godzilla is kind of like an allegory for the atomic bomb in a lot of ways. I mean, they end up using a super weapon to kill it. So, you know. But, and then it's like, you know what really played well is that giant monster. We should do more of that.
Yeah,
And,
people liked it. People like the horror movies.
Yeah, it's cool. Pacific Rim, I'm a big fan of.
That's a good one. That's a good one, but that's one thing that I can't get into with, because with kaiju movies, it's usually just like about the monster, and they're able to destroy things. And Godzilla does his swing with his tail, and he picks up the buildings, and it's like, okay, cool. When you put a person in there, that's when things start a little bit different, because then you have somebody like boxing Godzilla basically, and it's like, okay, so you just picked up Godzilla and then threw him in the ocean, like slammed him down. You're in the ocean. Like, why did you do that? Like, I understand that's a cool move, like, get slammed, but you're in knee-deep water. Like, that's probably a couple leagues deep you're throwing him down. He's probably fine. I don't know, what was that about?
I mean, it probably hurt. Like, you know how, like, a belly flop into water hurts.
It's still though, like you're punching him, then yeah, just keep punching him, stab him. You got swords, you got guns, stab him a couple times. It doesn't make any sense. They fought like a human would, but you're just like, this is a monster who's just going to eat you. You should just try to cut its head off and run, because what else could you do? You don't try to box it and suplex it.
Yeah, but that's less cool.
Yeah, okay, it's less cinematic for sure. Should have hit a
cool
sweet
fights.
German. Would have been cool to see a sweet bridge German suplex.
Crossover with WWE.
They did do that. There was I forget what it was called. My friends were actually telling me about it. I think it was just called Damn These Zombies or something, or Damn These Monsters. But it was just literally just like monsters like Frankenstein and with a werewolf and all them start coming, so like WWE wrestlers challenge them and fucking take them down. Good times. Love the absurdity that movies can bring. Ginger Dead Man and all that.
In Civ, they have a unit at the end of the tech tree called the Giant Death Robot, GDR for short.
Sure.
And it's I don't know, it's just cool, like all the way at the end, because like they gotta go like into the future a little bit, right? Like the game ends, I think, at 2050 or 2100.
Nuclear apocalypse at
like
that point?
year. No, it's just like if you make it all the way there, then it goes by score.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you get the Giant Death Robot, and you can like get upgrades from it at the end of the tech tree to like make it stronger and stuff like that. I think you can load nukes into it.
That's pretty
You can
sweet.
walk through the water.
You can literally Liberty Prime the game, just start Joe Montanaing some nukes.
Yep.
Drop back and just, better dead than red.
I feel also like if your game gets to the point where you're having that, like you probably could have won the game sooner. So it's kind of rare to see.
Yeah.
But I've played long games, and I get my giant robot, and I get all my other crazy ass bullshit. They added a mode with zombies, which I actually don't like it that much. It makes it like you're dealing with zombies all the time, like throughout the entirety of history. You're dealing with zombies, like
Just
it's
sounds
kind of
like
annoying.
history, you know?
Heyo, I guess.
Sounds like they've, like, history, we're in the timeline where they figured out how to get ahead of the zombies, and now, like, they're so good at, you know, taking care of them, we don't see them as regular people. But
Yeah.
as Civ 6, you're playing as, like, the leader, right? Like, the world leader?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's, thanks to our world
Okay.
leaders.
Yeah.
Keeping
Thanks,
the zombies.
Illuminati.
Thanks, Illuminati,
For
for
keeping
keeping the
us safe.
zombies at bay. Appreciate it. You put the triangle on the money. That's a cool symbol. I like that. With the eye in it. Neato.
Yeah.
Got a thumbs up for me on that one.
That is kind of a crazy thing to put on an American dollar.
The triangle with the eye. I think it's like, it's an old-timey, like, justice symbol. Like, we made that within the first courts or something. That's why. I forget, though. I could be totally off on that. I thought I just remember reading something that, like, it's not actually Illuminati. It's something that was made, like, in whatever.
Well, isn't it
I
on
don't
top of a pyramid or
Yeah.
something? Yeah. I don't know where we get our whole pyramid thing in the U.S. We don't have Egyptian pyramids, obviously.
No.
There's an area in the south of Illinois that is referred to as like Little Egypt or Egypt.
Do they have little pyramids?
No, but a bunch of people were used to claim that they found like some Egyptian artifacts there. So it sort of had a name for itself. If you go through like old, like, you know, stuff that you'd get in A-Push, like old historical documents around like Lincoln's presidential campaign, like they were talking about Egypt and they meant Southern Illinois.
No,
Because
really?
they're talking about like, yeah, because that's sort of like, I guess, a bit of a culture thing that they had at the time. And
Weird.
I'm pretty sure there is a Cairo down there, but they pronounce it more Midwestern, like Cairo or something like that. It's spelled the same way.
Sure. Gayro. Why? What is
There's
the point?
this building in Wadsworth, Illinois, called the Pyramid House.
I think I've heard of that, actually.
Yeah, some like dude and his wife like really like pyramids, I guess, and like Egyptian stuff. So they made a big old pyramid house. They got a big
Rock on.
like statue of like a pharaoh in the front. It's huge, gigantic. It got struck by lightning like 5 years ago.
Whoa.
It might
God
have
said
burnt down.
no.
Which God?
Who knows?
What kind of blasphemy is this?
I don't know. It's like some Tower of Babel shit. You erect it, and then it's just like, hey, stop that shit. None of that.
Yeah, people put a lot of effort into that whole like Egypt thing around Illinois. That's weird.
I've never heard of that. We have to look into that too, along with Lunchables.
Yeah, exactly. We got our homework.
We got our homework for next episode. Egypt, Illinois, and Lunchables. That's wild. I have no idea.
Yeah. Also, Civ, I'm going to keep on going back to this whenever I think of something I want to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
They got the leaders in that game. So I think it would be pretty easy for you to just, like, sort of drift your way through the game, listening to the advisors, and, like, probably finish okay, maybe win, maybe lose.
Sure.
But to promote you actually, like, doing shit in the game, other leaders will, like, talk shit to you. So
wait a minute.
I was dealing with this last night, where, like, this guy that's, like, the leader of Korea. I don't know, like, very many of the leader names.
Kim Jong-il?
No.
Kim Il-sung?
No.
Oh.
He's not in the game.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Well, Kim Il-sung is, like, the older one.
But he just, like, it's like, oh, you received a message for him, and you open up the message, and it's like, huh, it's pretty nice that all the great people of the world choose our empire over yours. Okay.
So that's
Cool,
supposed to, like,
asshole.
entice you to go to war with him? Yeah, like, oh yeah, I want to see how great my people are.
I mean, I guess it's saying that you're falling behind a little bit on recruiting great people, which isn't a whole mechanic, but, like, it's just, they're just go and mock you. They just try to piss you off to entice you to, like, actually do something. Or some of them will be like, huh, thanks for leaving all the world wonder building to us. Like, asshole. And then some of them will call you godless heathens because you don't have, like, a religious industry or anything like that.
Pretty good.
So, but yeah, very rarely do, like, and you can't actually hit a button to, like, talk shit to them back is the thing.
You can't send that, yeah, because they're a computer. What's that gonna do?
I don't know, but, like, they're like, you suck, people like us more than you, and you can hit one button and it's okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Cool, I guess. They'll also get mad at you if you have your soldiers near their borders, and they'll be like, hey, you think I'm stupid?
I see what you're doing.
You can't do that to them. For them, you could at least give them the chance to
back
lie,
off, yeah.
something like that. But no, I just want a way to talk shit back to them. I wonder if there's a mod for that, because the only mods I really have are, like, some visual mods. I ended up getting, like, an Elder Scrolls and a Lord of the Rings mod at one point, but it wasn't, like, I didn't play it very much. I feel like it got a little bit unbalanced. But I just want a mod. If anyone's out there listening that mod Civ 6, a mod that lets me talk shit to other world leaders for no reason, just for the fun of it.
Ugh. But speaking of computers talking shit, I was playing NFL Street the other day, which you've played the wrestling version of the game, the Def Jam then Fight for New York.
Yeah, the one where you pick out your girlfriend in, like, the character creator, and someone else can challenge your girlfriend to a fight.
Yeah, and then if you
for
lose,
your heart.
then yeah, the other girl becomes your girlfriend. Sorry, Carmen Electra, you got your ass whooped.
Yeah.
But I was playing NFL Street, which is obviously the NFL version of it, and in that they have while you're going down the field, you can just do, like, the different moves, like style on them, like put your hand in the air and all those different things. And it's literally built into the computer's AI of the game, where if they get a big enough lead on you, they just start doing the style move and run back and forth. They purposefully don't score. They just style on you for as long as you let them. They're just like, well, whatever.
That's good. Yeah, it makes you mad. It makes you want to fucking do something about it.
They're just like, oh, you son of a bitch, I'm going to kill you. And then they immediately plays the cutscene after, where, like, that player will be like, yeah, you suck. Thanks for giving me this ball. It's so good.
But does that game have Snoop Dogg as the Crow?
No, it has Exhibit as your mentor.
Okay, cool. So they still got actual people.
Yeah, they still got somebody. But they got all the NFL stars too, but they're not, like, voiced. Exhibit's the only one that's like, hey, you want to learn how to play ball? I'll show you around the city. Thanks, Exhibit.
Did Exhibit make music, or was he just doing the? Okay, cool.
He made music.
I thought he was. The only thing I know him from is Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, I think he was probably, like, one of those one-hit wonder guys, and then eventually just kind of became, like, known in the industry as opposed to, like, known as by fans sort of deal. Like, he became a good friend with people and just produced things probably. Because he went to the background pretty quick, even after Pimp My Ride, just to be like, yeah, no, out of the spotlight. Fair enough.
There are people in the music industry that, spent more time writing songs than, like, being in, like, an artist themselves, like a personality, a performer themselves.
Right.
Like Sia wrote quite a few songs for other artists. And Bruno Mars, too. Wrote a lot of songs for other artists.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Sia, do you know that one Rihanna song, Shine Bright Like a Diamond?
Yeah.
Written by Sia. And it makes a lot of sense if you listen to Sia's
I was
music.
going to say, it sounds a little, now I'm thinking of that song, it sounds like Sia could sing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. And I forget exactly who Bruno Mars and that other guy that's always, like, in his music videos with him, hangs out with him. They're like, actually a duo of songwriters.
I don't know who that is.
I mean, if you start watching like Bruno Mars music videos and stuff like that, you'll see like this one guy is like a little bit taller than him, a little bit huskier. He's like not just some guy that he hangs out with. He's like a fellow like songwriter.
Cool.
It's pretty cool.
Huh. I didn't know that there was people, I guess, being able to make a living like that, writing songs but not actually performing and doing the work for them. Not saying that that's.
I mean, they do that too.
Right.
But like that's maybe that came later in their career than producing these like songs and selling them to other artists. I'm pretty sure High Hopes, that Panic at the Disco song, was purchased. I don't remember who wrote it, but I'm pretty sure that was purchased.
Music industry isn't always what it seems.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty much Elvis Presley's whole career.
Yeah, I feel like people also accuse him sort of like stealing, though. Like, did he buy those songs?
I was gonna say, especially back in like the 30s and 40s or whatever he was around, it was one of those things where like music rights were probably so amalgamous and like not fair or cool at all that it probably very much was stolen and also legally taken at the same time. Because it's like most people who went to record songs, like it's the Johnny Cash story, like they go to record, they're like, all right, cool, thanks for the song, here's your $200, and then 2 weeks later you hear like somebody else singing your song on the radio because they were the better person, the better look or whatever. That's just how it went. That's how like you signed your things away. You didn't get anything as an artist, as a songwriter.
Yeah, so, I mean, you still can have contracts and stuff like that, but typically
but they're not as predatory anymore.
Yeah.
And usually people aren't willing to sign shit like that to not get the whole pie for their work. So I wouldn't doubt that there was a whole lot of like black artists that got stiffed for their music, and that Elvis probably took advantage of that, or Elvis's manager. I don't put the guy down himself, but that was probably just how the music industry worked. I'm sure there was a lot of artists getting stiffed in that same exact way.
Yeah.
Like the Andrews sisters, or no, not the Andrews sisters, the Cordettes. You ever heard the song Mr. Sandman?
Yeah.
Sung by a quintet of women called the Quartets. Can't find their music anywhere on Spotify. Can't find it at like anywhere in major music releases at all. Period. You might be able to find a YouTube rip of that whole song, but it's gone. Nobody was paying attention to the rights, or whoever has them is being stingy with them. They're gone. It's kind of sad to see.
I've also remember there's been like litigation surrounding like rights to certain songs in the last decade that I think were pretty significant, like Chainsmokers. I don't remember the name of the song. It's like Closer. The baby pulling closer and the backseat over. They ended up getting sued by, I believe, The Fray, and they ended up getting writing credits for that song because of their song Cable Car.
I don't think I've heard that song.
Basically there's like a refrain, there's like a refrain after the chorus that plays the piano.
Oh, so that thing that they play in that song also, like in between choruses, like the exact chord?
Yeah, after the end of the chorus in Closer.
Yeah, they play that whole thing.
It's the same exact thing.
Right.
I disagree that The Fray deserves anything for that, personally.
Well, if it's going to be the same exact like time signature and tempo of things, then I don't know.
So I think you can steal a song and get in trouble for that, the whole entire work. But there is a limited number combinations of 12 notes that sound good.
True.
Really.
But
And
you can make that argument there's a limited combination of words to make a sentence, to make a song.
Well, I disagree. I mean, you can just make up words. Like, who gives a shit? You can't make up a new note. You could subdivide the notes further, but that's just another style of music. You know, like there is existing music that goes through quarter tones instead of half tones. That exists, but there's only so many things, and like I don't agree with the idea that you can copyright a melody or anything like that.
I think I don't at face value either, because that's kind of getting kind of nitpicky with it, because it's on one hand, like if you like write a song and create it and it sounds like nothing else that is out there, you should, I feel, have some like claim to that as a piece. But yeah, like you're saying, at the same time, like if someone happens to write something similar, like extremely similar, what can you do about that? It's their brain. But then at the same time, if you're literally saying like listen to a song and be like, oh, let's take that song and then make it part of our song, I don't know.
You could do it with a melody. I don't think there's only so much you can do, right? I mean, and you wouldn't really say that the phrase song with like an actual piano and like, you know, a couple guitars and stuff sounds anything really like the Chainsmokers song, but it has the same melody after the chorus. And
I don't think they would deserve a writing credit, but I think it should be noted at least that they're sampled, because this is all just bringing to mind.
It's not sampled.
But it's not.
The sample takes the actual recording of something like that is.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Like it's. I feel like it falls closer to a sample, because it's like it's not the exact same thing, but you know, if you hear a song on piano and then play the exact same notes on guitar, yes, it's not a sample. Yes, it's a whole new song, but also it's the same song, and also this you know, it's kind of gets a little twisted. So I get what you're saying. It doesn't sound the same because it's going to make a whole different thing when they're doing it on the electronic pads as opposed to keyboard and guitar. But at the same time, it's the same.
So there is also a pair of guys. I don't really have too much memory of who they are, where they are, all that stuff. But who basically got like a terabyte hard drive, and they just put every single combination of 4 notes on that hard drive to make a statement on this and to say, like, we want to be able to copyright this. Every single sequence of 4 notes in a row. Is that allowed?
No.
They wrote them all down.
I suppose, but if the intent to do it was to copyright, then I suppose not, because then it wasn't really intent to make, like, music.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff about, like, people can do this stuff for, like, people can release music, and, like, it is music. It's just only 4 notes in a row, followed by another 4 notes in a row. But, like, with the whole Kanye thing, with the Poop Diddy Scoop song, like, you know, he did that so Drake couldn't have it.
Right, but by your logic, what's to stop Drake just from taking at least half of that song, or the first part of it, like the Lift Yourself breakdown, and just making a song with it? Or making his own version of it just by copying the beat and singing over it?
Well, I mean, if he made his own recording, that's fine. If he used the actual recording that exists, then he'd need Kanye to clear it. Right? Because that's his transformative work, and he made a new thing out of that sample, and if he wanted to use that...
Would he need Kanye to clear it, though?
Yes. There's that whole BBL Drizzy challenge with Drake.
So then, hold on, just to stop you for a second. So then would the Chainsmokers need to clear it with the Fray? Because I thought you were against that.
Well, no, they didn't use the recording of the Fray.
Well, no,
that's
but
what
I'm saying...
It has to be the actual recording. You
Right.
need to use a recording that someone else made as a sample. Then you need to get it cleared with that.
I'm saying if Drake basically just made a cover, yeah, and
that's
re-recorded himself.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't have the rights to that original sample, though, which he would need to replace with something else.
Does he even have to say that he like covered it if it's part of the song, not the entire song? Like Chainsmokers did with the Fray? They shouldn't have to mention it's a cover, right?
It's not a cover.
If he just if he does himself half of whatever the Lift Yourself beat?
Yeah, I mean, if you record it yourself.
I think
if you make it.
I think if you play, you know, it's Stairway to Heaven or whatever song on your guitar and sing it, I think you're covering that song. And if Drake takes his whatever devices to make an exact copy of Kanye's beat and thing, he's also covering that song.
But is he going to do anything transformative with it?
He's going to make his own, like, rap beat over it, I assume. But the beat underneath will still be exactly the same. Just his own, like, rendition of it. Not really rendition, because it's going to be the exact same one-to-one thing. It's just going to be he recorded it instead of the original sample.
Yeah, I mean, what's to stop?
I feel like I feel like you're going back and forth on this, because I feel like you're saying, yeah, what's to stop him? And then it's...
Well, I think that the Chainsmokers having the same melody as the Fray doesn't matter. They shouldn't have had to give writing credits.
Right.
I'm saying if Drake made a song that was the same as Lift Yourself, but he made it himself, or he paid somebody else to make it themselves without using parts of that other of the Kanye song, that is also fine. So that's aligned in my mind.
Ah, okay. I see what you're saying now.
An actual part of the recording, then you are taking someone else's work. Putting it in yours.
I disagree, and I think that's incorrect. Because if you just play Stairway to Heaven and release it as your song, Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin will probably like to have a conversation with you and tell you, no, you didn't write that song, and you can't just claim that it's your song, even if you did it yourself 100%.
I guess if you, like, copy it one for one, like, that's a little bit harder to argue. But, like, I still think it's fine.
I still think you have to acknowledge it's a cover. That's the thing. Even if you make it like your own version of Stairway to Heaven, if you have the same lyrics or like sing the lyrics in a different way, I feel like you still have to acknowledge. I feel like there's some legal grounds that you're kind of stepping over there.
I just think that if we start having, like, the more that we allow copywriting of music, the less music we are going to have available to us through the mixing and matching of things. I don't necessarily feel the need to defend the idea of, like, an entire cover being, like, A-okay in the same way as using parts of it.
Right.
Like, I still think that, like, a cover is a cover, like, you know, you ended up producing something entirely, like, you know, of your own. Like, it's copying something else, but, like, you still produced it. You know, it's like fan art.
Yeah, but even fan art runs into problems, too, if it's of IPs that are copyrighted.
You try to sell it, I believe.
Yeah, well,
I mean, there has been, I guess, other cases of people running into, like, getting their stuff taken down or whatever, but...
Right, and if you're releasing music nowadays, especially on any platform, you essentially are selling it. You're getting some money for it, or at least planning to.
Yeah. But I don't have any interest of, like, actually copying a song in its entirety, you know? It's just that when you start going down to, like, melodies or just, like, general concepts, like, there's another issue with Katy Perry's Dark Horse, and some other song that came out before that had a similar line to the, you know, the da 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 da. I mean, if you heard the song Dark Horse,
yeah, I've heard that.
That's a very prominent part of it.
Yeah.
And someone else had a very similar melody using similar synths in their own song, playing through a majority of their song, and they tried to claim that Dark Horse was copying them. And, you know, I don't think it was. It's probably just a basic enough thing that you could do that.
Yeah, it's weird when it gets down to that level, because it makes sense on the grander scale. Like, if you're legitimately copying a song one-to-one and saying, no, this is my song, then all right, yeah, that's theft, copyright should step in. But then if it gets into, or if you're just copying the lyrics to the song, but then you're changing the beat, I still say yes on that. Same with the other way around. If you're changing the beat, or keeping the beat but changing the lyrics, that's still dodgy, shouldn't do that. But then when it gets down to the micro, then that's where I start getting not caring about it. I think it should be thrown out. Mm-hmm. I think it should be taken in its entirety, but can't be like split up. If that makes any sense. The entirety is claimed to copyright, but the pieces are not. The pieces are not equal to its whole.
Yeah, I'm behind that. Okay. I still think that, like, you should probably be able to do something in the entirety, but like I said, like, I'm not dying. I'm not ride or dying on that point. I don't think that is necessarily something that needs my hard defense on it.
Fair,
you know?
Fair.
But yeah, as we go on down to these further, like, little pieces, I'm also pretty sure that Olivia Rodrigo's "Good for You" ended up giving writing credits to Hayley Williams of Paramore, or of just, like, Paramore as a whole, because of similarities that people pointed out between the songs. But yeah, it's just like if we start like copywriting all these different like little parts of songs, then we're just not gonna have any more music. You know?
Yeah, it's getting too nitpicky with it. Then you're just getting the music's gonna become like super sterilized because everybody's gonna be scared to get fucking copyright struck to make anything.
Yeah, it's a limited amount of space.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a CD, there's a limited number of different configurations of the data you can have on that CD.
Yeah.
A lot of them are gonna suck, so you throw those out. There's even fewer that actually fewer of them that actually sound like anything. Fewer than that actually sound like good music.
Yeah.
Like, it's a finite space, and you can mix and match things and take your inspiration from all sorts of different sources. It is very different. I think it is very different from like copywriting Mickey Mouse,
Right.
because like typically you'll have to submit like a thing too, explaining what makes like your thing unique and like what parts of it like constitute actually creating the Mickey Mouse and like all that stuff.
Right.
Like I still remember when the Steamboat Willie entered the
Public domain
pretty recently, and then I saw a bunch of people posting things of like just like art of Steamboat Willie doing weird stuff or like being like a murderer or something edgy like that.
Right.
And it's like that was probably already covered under like parody. Like it's not actually representing that character.
I was gonna say I've seen the gangster SpongeBob and Betty Boop stickers in the machines for years.
Yeah. But like actually like the thing that you're now able to do is just like make a Steamboat Willie episode 2 where he's also on the boat again and then Pete shows up and then something different happens. Yeah. Like that's public domain. But I don't think anyone is really interested in doing that because Steamboat Willie isn't like, I don't think it's popular amongst the youth.
It's not as beloved other than just they known as the Disney intro.
Yeah. It's just what, ooh, we had an animation like this. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Well, that will about do it for this episode of CRT. Thank you for joining in. We have new episodes of this coming out every Tuesday. And, you need to tell them anything else?
Brush your teeth.
Yeah, twice a day, at least. 3 times if you can. But if you're brushing a little harder or got an automatic toothbrush, then 2 might be enough.
Or else. Catch you next time.